Paint. It covers old things. It makes them look new. It's an inexpensive way to add beauty. Paint is a wonderful thing, but it can only do so much. 17 years ago, there were small teams of volunteers that would go to Haiti once a year and paint. Paint schools, hospitals, churches. It was a great thing and made old things look better. But it was missing something. Buildings looked newer, but the lives of the people that used those buildings still struggled. They still ate only once a day, had no place to attend school, and lived in horrible conditions. The pastor that led those volunteer teams, Fran Lehman, sensed there had to be something more. The small projects were nice, but not life-changing. Together with longtime missionary friends, Steve and Jolene Moore, Fran made his way to a place far from where most people see. The new home for the yet-to-be-named organization would be in a village called Marfranc. It's a village at the far west side of the island and is rarely visited by outsiders. After many visits, discussions, and handshakes, New Life for Haiti was born in July of 2005. Its tagline pretty much said it all. You can wish the world was a better place, or you can pick one place in the world and make it better. We found that place. The long process began of building relationships, finding trusting partners, and building a home base to house teams that came to serve. That new home was built with a team of hired Haitians, American volunteers, and the dedicated, unrelenting service of Steve and Jolene Moore. They moved into the Caibo Riviere, the house by the river, on October 30th, 2008, beginning our permanent presence in the Grand Anse River Valley. The past 10 years have been a whirlwind of activity, including 5 new schools, a higher education program, feeding program, child sponsorship program, medical missions program, and a clean water initiative. And while all of these are beautiful things, we're not here to pat ourselves on the back. The greatest triumphs come in seeing the smile on a 4th grader who just learned to write her own name, or giving a plate of food to a 9-year-old that hasn't eaten in 12 hours, or mending a broken arm on a mom with 3 kids. It's getting to know the families and their children and trying to figure out how we can touch their lives and give them hope. Because this part of Haiti is hard to get to, the people in these villages thought no outsiders or mission groups would ever end up where they are. They didn't think anyone really cared enough to help their small villages. New Life for Haiti's goal, starting out, was to improve education, and that meant building schools which were large enough, could keep out the rain, and were built for safety in a hurricane or earthquake. This was the obvious need we saw, to build schools, but with a shortage of skilled labor and limited funds, it was a challenge. But over the years, the buildings got built and more kids came to school. It was working, but there was something we were missing. The plan seemed solid to build schools, but in Haiti, kids have to pay to go to school. They also need to have uniforms and supplies. Our child sponsorship program was born from this need, which allowed Americans to sponsor a child for a small monthly donation. Again, it seemed to work. More kids were coming to school, and the sponsored kids had what they needed. However, it seemed as one problem was solved, another would pop up. Kids were coming to school, but they were coming without eating breakfast, and they brought no lunch.
The feeding program was something that we've been talking about for a couple of years. I've been going to Haiti for 5 years, doing sponsorship photos for the child sponsorship program. And every time when I've been, the kids are so excited to see us. They're so excited about the pieces of candy that we bring that it really just was so difficult this last year when we went, and once we found out why this little girl was crying, that it was because she was hungry. It's just the basic things that you don't even think about, that, you know, we're giving them candy and she wants food. And that really was the reason we went back and said, we've really got to get the child feeding program moving faster. That, you know, there are kids that are showing up every day hungry and they can't possibly learn and focus on school when all they're thinking about is something to eat.
The feeding program now has served over 100,000 meals and continues to put rice, beans, and fish on plates for kids so they can concentrate in the classroom. One more problem tackled, not solved by any means, but a step forward. One challenge we were very aware of that needed our attention was clean water.
Less than half the people in Haiti have access to safe water. There are 6,000 deaths every day from waterborne illnesses: diphtheria, hepatitis, chronic diarrhea. Most of those are children. In the communities that we work in, many of the rural communities, they have no access to safe water. So we've already been up into communities like Pleak and have talked to people who have family members that have passed away, and that's the conditions that they're living in. Right now, kids are used to walking 2, 3, 4 miles to get water every day, 3 times a day. We've said for many years, even though our emphasis has been in other areas, that we need to start doing something to bring safe water to the communities that we work in. Right now, we're working on getting approval from the local district to cap a spring up in Pleak.
With limited funds and volunteers, this problem we needed to address seemed insurmountable. But just as we think it's not possible, the backing comes. Pepsi has offered to support New Life for Haiti's water initiative to help us bring clean water to families, preventing illness and allowing kids to attend school more often. There's a lot to be done in this area, but the process has begun and we feel grateful to have a corporate sponsor. As we moved through the years, our director Fran Lehman was on a trip talking with a 4th grade student named Shedli. He had brought her a translated letter from her sponsor. Fran gave her the letter, but sensed something was wrong as she looked at it and hung her head. When he asked her, "What's wrong?" she said, "I can't read." It hit Fran like a ton of bricks. Here's this 4th grader attending school and she can't read. We were missing something. After digging a little deeper into why she couldn't read, it became clear that yes, we have school buildings, but we have a curriculum and teachers that are not making the connections to the students. After bringing this challenge back to the States, educators have stepped up and volunteered to forge a plan of a brand new model school with a new curriculum and teacher training. Once again, it seems like it's an impossible and expensive task. Currently, this is taking shape, but is somewhat dependent on fiscal resources to make it successful. However, we have no doubt that no matter where it comes from, we will make it happen so that a child like Shedli won't have to hang her head in shame because she can't read the words on the page. In 2009, the organization grew, volunteers stepped up, and the New Life for Haiti board began to take shape, allowing us to make better decisions in a more professional system. The growth didn't come without its hurdles, however. Trucks broke down and were expensive to repair. Websites failed to perform. The child sponsorship program had to be overhauled, just to name a few. But we managed to get through them and move ahead, continuing to do what we set out to do. One huge loss for the organization also happened in 2009. Steve and Jolene Moore, our long-standing staff residents and missionaries, decided it was time to retire and return to the States. While we were very sad to see them step aside, we also understood they needed time to spend with family as they moved into their later years of life. We will be forever grateful for their service. In 2011, Neil Shorey, a board member of New Life for Haiti, was devastated to see an 8-year-old boy who came for medical help sent home to die. He became determined to see us begin a medical mission. This led to the birth of an annual medical team who do a 1-week clinic operated out of a church building in one of the main villages. The team treats many ailments, from diabetes to high blood pressure, skin disorders to asthma, and also perform many surgeries each year. Hundreds of people receive medical care they would otherwise never be able to get. In 2014, the clinic treated 550 people. There have also been special case efforts, including building a home for a family with an injured girl in 2014. A team of volunteers custom designed a 3-room home and built the house in only 5 days. The house was then gifted to the family as they saw it for the first time on day 5. Many tears were shed that afternoon as their lives changed overnight. There is so much more that volunteers have accomplished. It's impossible to tell you about them all tonight. So many individual lives of young children and their parents have been touched in many ways. We knew that going to Haiti would not help change the whole country, or even bring one village completely out of poverty. But one thing we do know is that individual lives have been improved and families have seen transformations that give them hope. When you see the face of a relieved mother whose child has received medical care, or an 8-year-old eating a nutritious meal, or a 4th grader that finally learned to read the letter from her sponsor family, it becomes clear. These may seem like small accomplishments to us, but to them, they are the world.